Hi and welcome to Origin of Concepts. In this video, I'll tell you a little about the Sea of Galilee from the Bible narrative or Bible myth. The biblical Sea of Galilee is a freshwater lake serving as the primary backdrop for Jesus' ministry, where he called his first disciples, taught and performed miracles. Known in the Bible as the Sea of Chinnereth, that's the Old Testament, and then it evolved to Gennesaret or Tiberias. Many lovely childs, many names, or many generations and different names or interpretations. The lake is famous for the calming of storms, or the storm, walking on water and the fishes of men. The biblical Sea of Galilee is a purely mythological and fictional place, which has never existed as a real geographical sea or lake, not on this earth or any places. And the reason is that everything has its origin in the Milky Way center. So let's take a look at the Milky Way here. Let's start with some etymology, because Chinnereth means the harp or the lyra, a music instrument you can play on strings. And the Gennesaret is the Jewish form of the lyra, copycats from the ancient Greeks, of course. And then Galilee is it's the newer version in the New Testament, which means the ring district. So we know we have to look for a circular district, not the lake itself, but the district where the lake is placed. So let me show where to find both of them. So let's start with the ring, because this area here is the ring district, the center of the Milky Way center, or the surroundings of the golden light, of course. What it's all about, the light of the world. And then we also got the lyra, or the Chinnereth. And basically there is two kinds of lyras or harps in the Milky Way center. There's the great harp, which is also the bow, and then we got the small lyra. So let me outline them here. On the top of the disc here, we got the small lyra. It's often connected with the boats and caves and stuff like that. But then we also got the great lyra here, because it's an allegory of the Milky Way center. And then the strings on the harp is, of course, the stripes here in the stripe shadow. So I will say the big one is the harp, and the lyra, the small instrument, is that on top of the disc. But now we know where they got it from. I'll go one back here. Let's use this. So now we got the Chinnereth and we got Galilee in a second, because we need to find the lake itself. And the lake, of course, in the circle area, or the Galilee, is of course the part here, go like this. So this is just the circular lake. So here you got the Sea of Galilee, the blue part above the Milky Way center. But let's read some key features from the Bible texts and see if we can match it up. So let me only draw the lake here. Just follow the outlines of the Milky Way center here. And you got this circular lake. Jesus called fishermen Peter, Andrew, James and John to be fishers of men while they worked on the lake. And let me first outline the fishers or the fishermen in their boat, because the boat is of course the crescent here, and inside the boat it's very important because Peter, Andrew, and James and John, it's two pair of it's not twins, but it's two pair of brothers, and the two pair of brothers is always those four stripes here. This is part of the 12 disciples. There's 12 dark shadows are used as an allegory for the disciples of Jesus. But here is the two pair of brothers in the boat fishing. And the fishing net is also the striped shadow. And now I have to delete what I just draw here. Because if you see the stripes here in the striped shadow, is the fishing net they use from the boat. So this is the fishing net. I'll get back to that later. Well, and the fishers of men is of course the striped shadow, catching, and they are, Jesus will change them to the fishers of men instead of fishers. And that's an allegory for catching people, and give them spirit and wisdom, from Jesus, the golden light here, the light of the world. And then his all the men, the fishers need to catch is of course also the striped shadows here, because the light of light of the world cast his light on his disciples, and they have to pass it on to mankind. And that's an allegory for the golden light going into the flesh, the striped shadow, which is also the mortal world. So all the light shines through his disciples into the mortal world. Jesus calmed a violent storm. Okay. So now we got the Sea of Galilee, and Jesus is the golden light here. And then we got the storm. And the striped shadow here is always the whirlwind or the storm or the great waves or the flood or whatever. So here he calmed the wind down on the lake. Yeah. And now what we all have been waiting for, because on the Sea of Galilee, Jesus can walk on water. And it's very, very simple, because he is not the first walking on water. There's many before him. Because the ancients saw the big foot here in the outlines of the Milky Way center. And here we got the toe. And the foot goes up here. And now Jesus is walking on water and even rivers, because the striped shadow here is also water. So here you see Jesus walking on water, or giants walking on earth, if we go back to the Old Testament. All right. We go to the next text here. Jesus tells Simon Peter to let down his nets in the deep water, resulting in a catch so large the nets begin to break. And I already draw it for you. The striped shadow here is the net, the breaking because of all the fish, which is also the stripes. So the net is broken. And if you see the striped shadow, it looks like a broken net. So here you got it. The broken fishing net. And then we got Jesus feeding the 5,000, which is also a famous text. And 5,000 is basically just an allegory of many. And then the Bible's got a lot of number codes, which I will not go into here. But 5,000 is like an allegory for many people here. And they got fed by the big mouth here in the Milky Way center. And they are, of course, fed with the golden light here. So they are eating, Jesus feeding them with spirit, so to speak. All right. And then I got a note here from the Old Testament, which, as I spoke of in the start, referred the Sea of Galilee as the Sea of Chinnereth, forming part of the boundary for the Promised Land. Oh, the Promised Land. Yeah, of course it does. Because, let me see here. The Sea of Galilee is in every myth before Christianity. This was the area where everything starts. It's the void, the nothing, from where everything is manifested. And let me use my analogy here of the Mother Spirit, Virgin Mary, if you like. And we got here the beard of the Father, the beard of Osiris, where it all originated. And this is the unmanifested Mother and Father Spirit, nothingness, but the unmanifested Spirit. And the Spirit manifests into light. And then we got Jesus, who will pass it into the striped shadow here, into the mortal world, or the same as the birth of the womb of the mother here, because the striped shadow is the womb of Virgin Mary, the Virgin. And this is also the Promised Land, because it's the foundation, so to speak, of the it's the foundation of the Galilee. It's the foundation point, so to speak. And the Promised Land flowing with milk and honey is, of course, the Milky Way center. And we already know that the light here is the honey, and the sea above of Galilee is also the milk, because it's the white part above the disc. The pure spirit and the manifested spirit, so to speak. So here we got the land of milk and honey and the Sea of Galilee, which of course have never been a geographical place in reality, mentioned in the Bible. It's pure fiction. How to obtain enlightenment, of course. The Sea of Galilee is surrounded by hills. Let me do that. The Sea of Galilee is surrounded by hills. I'll start drawing here, because it is the hills here. Lies in a natural depression, or the Jordan Rift Valley. And the rift or valley is, of course, the striped shadow here. This is always the valley between the mountains in many myths, and has a subtropical climate, Yes, of course, because the earth is also the place for vegetation. The stripes is also the wheat and the grass and all the, yeah, the plants. And then of course it's a tropical, the tropical heat, so to speak. Let me see here. Yeah, the heat from the disk is the tropical heat, so to speak. And this is also the sun. The subtropical climate is an allegory, of course, of the striped shadow and tropical plantation. And the golden disk is the heat, and the lake and the sand is the disk on the shore here. So what you see here is the tropical sea, and the sand is, so to speak, the beach or the yeah, the shore. Okay, and then the most important part, of course, is the Jordan River, because the Jordan River is not the Jordan geographical Jordan River. The Jordan River originates here. It's the striped shadow. This is the river in the sky where Jesus is baptized. And I can give you a short example. I'll soon come up with my John the Baptist movie, but the hand of John the Baptist is here, holding over the head of Jesus. So that's why the priest is doing the same in the church. But that was a side bonus. Let's move back to the Jordan River here. The geographical Jordan River is actually named after the Milky Way Center, and is the inspiration source to put it in the Bible. And by the way, the Jordan River goes back all the way into ancient Mesopotamia, where they all, Mesopotamia means the two rivers meeting. So it all originates from there. Okay, let's see. The city on the shore of the Sea of Galilee is, of course, also the striped shadow. This is always the town or the city in the sky here. This is also Jerusalem and all the other cities Jesus is visiting on his travel to the Sea of Galilee. Yeah, and then I noted here the geographical Sea of Galilee is named after the Bible, and the Bible got it from the Milky Way Center. So here you got the origin of everything. Okay, and let me see here. I got long before the Abrahamic religions, the same area was called the Sea of Atlas. Atlas from Greek mythology, which also gave the name to the geographical Atlantic Ocean. So the great ocean between Europe and the US. It's the Atlantic Ocean, of course, is named after the Milky Way Center. And nobody really knows where the name Atlas comes from, but Atlas or the Atlantic Sea is the same as the Sea of Galilee. The Sea of Galilee is just copycat from older times. Okay, I think that's all it is. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you so much for clicking by my channel. And if you have any comments, write below and I'll answer the best I can. And until next video, take care. See ya. Bye.